There are many of us that are very concerned about the president's unwillingness to call out radical Islamic terrorism and the threat that we face as a country. Now, you've got the administration, you've got, for example, people in the State Department saying we can't kill our way to victory. You've got a spokesperson saying that we need jobs programs or better governance. This is a war against radical Islamic terrorism.
So that is Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal blasting President Obama outside the White House yesterday. And today, writing in a piece now online at foxnews.com, he states President Obama has focused more on criticizing America and lecturing the American people than on advising a plan to hunt down and kill these extremists. The Louisiana Governor, Bobby Jindal, back in his home state, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, with me now. And, sir, good morning. And welcome back to America's
Bill, good
Newsroom.
morning.
You write this: President Obama has shown the country he's incapable of being commander-in-chief. Strong charge yet again. Defend that. Why?
Well, and Bill, it gives me no joy to have to say this. I do think he's disqualified himself to be commander-in-chief for a couple of reasons. First, he refuses to identify one of the main military threats we face by name: radical Islamic fundamentalism. You listen to those quotes from his own administration. Eric Holder says we're not at a state of war. You've got the State Department saying we're not going to kill our way to victory at a time when these barbarians, they're beheading Christians, they're torturing, prosecuting Christians, Muslims, Jews, other religious minorities. They killed over 100 school children. They're actually killing editorialists because they don't like their cartoons. And then secondly, you look, this president, he seems more intent on warning us about the Crusades, criticizing America. When he finally submits a request for military force to the Congress, two fundamental mistakes, Bill. One, he puts an arbitrary timeline, a 3-year deadline in there. We know will be done when we've hunted down and killed these terrorists, not some political deadline. And then secondly, he bars the use of ground troops. Bill, we need to listen to our military commanders. We need to go to them and say, give us a plan to hunt down, to kill, to eradicate these terrorists. We don't need a president who's trying to appease the left, try to be politically correct. He won't even name the enemy we face, and now he's refusing to give our military the tools, all the tools they need to go and win this war.
You said a lot there. Let's go through some of it now. You were in the room for 90 minutes with him yesterday. Did you tell him this?
You know, we've been in these rooms with him for several years. It's more of the president talking to us than a real dialogue. So we got to hear the president tell us that he's not interested in backing away from amnesty. We got to hear the president tell us that even if the Supreme Court rules against him in Obamacare, he's not interested in revisiting the issue. So, Bill, unfortunately, it wasn't really much of a dialogue, but we've made it very clear. We've made it very clear several times that this administration is not doing what it needs to when it comes to identifying the threat of radical Islamic terrorism and actually giving the military the tools they need. So
in this group of governors now, a lot of domestic issues on the line there. This topic did not come up.
That's right.
I take it from your answer, right?
No, we didn't get a discussion. We weren't.
Okay, so because what he would argue then is that this is what ISIS wants. They want to be able to tell the world that the West is at war with Islam. They want to be able to use that message and recruit more fighters. That's what he would argue. Now, is he right on that point?
No, Bill, he's wrong. Two things. One, that the president continues to say we're not at war with Islam. Well, that's obvious, and that's obviously true, but we are at war with radical Islam, and he needs to say it. You hear other foreign leaders say it. You hear the president of Egypt, the prime minister of France say it. And secondly, the way that we win, the way we deny them the PR, the recruiting tool, is to hunt them down and kill them. This political correctness is it's not helping anything. It's hurting our ability to actually go and win this fight. The way we deny them the PR tools is hunt them down and kill them.
You mentioned ground troops. You would support American ground troops, is that right?
I think we need every option on the table. It's political correctness to pretend like we'll never send in ground troops. I'm not suggesting that should be our first option, but I'm saying we need to go to the military, we need to go to our leaders and say, what will it take to eradicate ISIS? The reality is we have allies willing to supply ground troops, including Turkey. If this president would be serious about being there to get rid of Assad, I think there are a lot of allies worried that if they go after ISIS, it'll create a vacuum for Assad, it'll create a vacuum for Iran. So there are allies willing to supply the ground troops if they thought this president were more serious. What I really worry, Bill, is that
you would involve Turkey, you would get rid of Assad. What is your overall strategy?
Well, and look, here's where I think this president has made a fundamental mistake. I think that he wants to deal so badly with Iran on their nuclear capabilities. He's willing to take a bad deal over no deal. In part, I think that is preventing him from committing to truly overthrowing Assad. That is currently the policy. He has said he is committed to overthrowing Assad, but he hasn't shown that. And you go back to that failed red line in Syria, And I think our allies, therefore, are more tentative, like Turkey, in terms of going on the ground. I think we need to be providing arms to the Kurds. You've already got the Jordanians and the Egyptians and others bombing and participating in these attacks because of the horrific attacks on their own citizens. So we've got allies that want to do more. Bill, this is one of the few times I think Congress needs to give the president more than he's asked for. I almost never say that. I think they need to give him the ability to go win this war. He hasn't asked for enough when it comes to the ability to win this war. They should give it to him.
You think Iran's behind all this? I don't know what's going to come of that deal or if there is any deal. But in the end, do you think he will change over the next 2 years? Yes or no?
I hope he will, because we cannot afford a nuclear-armed Iran. That's an existential threat to not only Israel and our European allies, but America as well, Bill. That is an awful legacy for this president to leave to the next president. That's why I think Congress needs to amend this authorization of use of military force to try to change his approach to fighting ISIS.
That is the next debate. Sir, thank you for your time. Governor Bobby Jindal out of Louisiana
with
us from Baton Rouge. We'll talk again. Here's Martha.